I have no idea what material I am working with, which really is a valid laundry issue. Therefore, I shall safely and with great thought to what could go wrong, set this material on fire. If you have a material that ignites quickly and melts, smells like chemicals, and has a hard black bead as a result, we have acrylic. This material recoils slightly, ignites briefly, chars, smells like burning hair, and results in a soft, crushable bead. This is silk. I saw it, I needed it, I made it. Today's episode is about how to draft a dress when all you have is a picture. There are so many beautiful dresses out there that we don't have patterns to, and that all that is left is this one image. So what happens when you see a picture of a dress that you absolutely need? You love it. It is so worthy of your time, but there is no pattern. And in fact, there's no obvious history to it immediately, other than maybe a tiny name that you could look up on the drawn picture. That's it. That's all you have. How do you manage it? Well, I can answer that now from the 1920s perspective. I'll tell you how it was done. The first thing that happens is that you need a book or a picture or an inspiration. I find mine, yet again, from this lovely book. Now, this is obviously a fabulous winter dress. However, it's been insanely hot, and sleeves are a big deal breaker for me right now. Also, what I have in my current stash, which I am genuinely trying to actually use first before I buy new material. I don't exactly have a rule about not buying new material, but I really want to lead with what I already have and use what I've got. What I currently have really didn't lend towards this dress as a perfect reproduction, but it did give me the option of playing with this idea. What I absolutely loved about this dress was how there was this draping and that it had little loops to fall through. It looked like a complicated dress, but then when I started thinking about it, I realized a few things. I've been talking about the Haslam system of dress cutting since the beginning of this channel, and very little surprise here, we're going to talk about it again. The Haslam system of dress cutting ranges from about early 1920 through early 1960. No matter what decade you're dealing with, you will need what I like to call flat U. This is my back, this is my front, and we skip the waistline because it's the 1920s. You fall directly from the bust point to the high hip, from your armpit to the high hip with very gentle shaping. My waist is much smaller than this, but that doesn't matter. It's the 1920s. No one cares about your waist. This sloper is drawn so that there are no sleeves. This armhole fits me perfect. When I move to the 1920s clothing that have sleeves, I will be redrawing this so that the armhole has enough room to attach a sleeve. But that is work for another day. This is flat me. This is the pattern I drew. Let's compare. Notice that this entire line did not change. This is my center front. I can see from the picture that this center front extended out and had two loops. This is a perfect mirror image with cutouts. So there's your midpoint, and if you notice, this little strap right there sinks perfectly into the armpit. This section over here sinks perfectly into the hip. And that is the front of the dress. That really is the sum total of the drafting that I did. Then, obviously, you need to have the other half. There is no seam allowance. This should match up perfectly. I know that it does. All of this is going to line up absolutely pristinely. How did I choose to go here and not further up or further down? The last dress I did was here. The dress before was here. I liked here because I tried on my previous dress and said, that's where I want this to land because I think it'll look good. And that's how you end up with bespoke work, because you decide, oh, I like it here versus here or up here. All of the answers are correct. All of them. The only question is, where do you want it to land? This is flat knee. This is the pattern. It is the exact same. The ability to draw a pattern this quickly is because I put in an insane amount of time perfecting this. So for this dress, there's 3 pattern pieces, and they are all based upon my personal sloper that was developed out of the Haslam system of dress cutting. Let's take a look at the dress. As I have said in previous videos, if I'm going to have a sleeveless dress, I like having a lining because I feel that my sewing skills are far nicer in making this the edge than having only this material to work with. I can do a flip inside and out and all of it looks nice. Plus, who doesn't want a silk lined dress? The pattern of this dress was idiotically simple. What was difficult, or at least mind origami was needed, was right here. First of all, cut out your lining. That's going to be the exact same as the outside. The only thing that got different was this strip right here. There's 2 layers to it. This part slid in and then sandwiched, and the only regret that I had was that I didn't do the lace at the same time. So I ended up hand stitching this in. I'm not really upset by this because I'm perfectly fine with my hand stitching. This is what it looks like on the inside. This is not that big of a deal, and I have realized that I have gotten far faster at sewing by hand. The only real changes that I made to this dress was that the back part of this ended up being longer than the front part, mainly because it was a design feature that I saw as nicer if I did it the other way. I ended up extending this part out just a little bit so that it would lay a little bit better and that I wasn't necessarily showing off this part, which I didn't really want to show off. So that's the inside. I did just some easy little folds there to help it lay nicely. I used the bottom of this for the trimming. That was purposeful. This is actually a tube so that I didn't have to deal with rough edges. Bye.